After a breakup, separation, or divorce, in most cases, at some point, both exes will move on. Sometimes, however, a person moves on very quickly in the span of days, weeks, or a few months. What does that mean? If your ex just moved on very quickly after your breakup, you're probably feeling a whole mix of painful emotions. Some of them are the backdrop from your recent breakup, and others were added in when you heard or saw that your ex is already with someone new so shortly after your breakup. The thought of your ex being with someone else is really painful. On the weekends, you wonder what they're doing now together with this new person. You find the thought of your ex exchanging love and intimacy with someone else unbearable. You find it hard to accept that what you think, feel, and want isn't a factor anymore in their decision making. You miss your ex, but they don't seem to be going through the same experience at all. They seem to be fine and living their best life. You wonder how this could have happened, how your ex managed to get over you so quickly, and what that says about your relationship and you. Next, I want to debunk some myths about what this situation means. Information that your ex was able to move on so quickly may leave you feeling like there is something wrong with you. You may think that you should also be ready to move on and that you're weak for being so affected by the breakup. You may think that you're not that lovable, and that's why it was so easy for your ex to quickly find someone to replace you with. They never loved me properly. You may also think that the fact that they moved on so quickly means that your relationship wasn't that meaningful to them, that it wasn't deep, that what you invested wasn't as valuable as you thought it was. Maybe you're also wondering what this says about their former love for you and how you could have gotten involved with someone who seems to care so little about you. A closer look, these myths debunked. The fact that your ex chose to move on so quickly and get involved with another person shortly after your breakup, in all likelihood says more about them than about you. Of course, because I don't know them, I don't know what exactly it says, but here are some possible things it could say. Your ex might have an unhealthy attachment style, either anxious, avoidant, or disorganized. If they're avoidant, they've been out of touch with their feelings since very early on. They're not as aware of their pain, but that doesn't mean it's not there. And unfortunately, often it comes out later as other uncomfortable and difficult emotional states. If they're anxiously attached, they may have gotten involved with someone else very quickly to escape overwhelming feelings of loneliness. If they have a disorganized attachment style, it's a mix of escaping loneliness in some moments, and in other moments, detaching from their actual emotional needs. Either way, they probably moved on quickly to feel better, unconsciously or consciously, and not because the breakup didn't affect them. Probably they did this because the breakup affected them so much. It's probably an unhealthy coping mechanism. And in that case, it's not actually moving on. It's a jumping away from processing their emotions and working on developing a secure attachment style. Or your ex might have self-esteem issues and may be using the new relationship to feel better about themselves, to feel desirable and worthy of love. Breakups are major threats to people's self-esteem, and especially so if someone's self-esteem and confidence in themselves wasn't that strong to begin with. So your ex might be compensating that with the new relationship. Sometimes people move on quickly as a last move in a relationship. It's not at all about the new partner, but about signaling to their ex, friends, family, and themselves, look, I was the first one to move on. I'm doing great. Actually, this is the best thing that could have happened to me. This too is a protective mechanism to ward off insecurities, doubts, grief, feelings of loss and abandonment. And the sense of a loss of control that a breakup often includes. Another possibility is that your ex broke up with you and that they've been transitioning into this for a while. They may have been grieving losing you and the relationship for years. So they're not at the same emotional point that you're at right now. So, all in all, it's likely that your ex found someone else so quickly to regulate their own painful emotions, not necessarily in a lasting, helpful, constructive way, but in the form of a short term, unhealthy coping mechanism. It's likely they jumped on so quickly exactly because the breakup was so painful for them and they miss you, and not because they never cared about you or that you're unlovable. And like I said, this isn't a good strategy to really turn things around and improve the quality of their relationships and emotional experience. Your ex would need to work on developing a secure attachment style and stable sense of self-worth. They'd need to turn towards and change the architecture of their inner world, not run and jump away from it. And if the fact that they found someone new so quickly doesn't mean that they're better at processing the breakup, it also means that you're not worse at it for still feeling deeply affected by the breakup and not feeling ready for someone new. It takes time to process the grief of a breakup thoroughly. It's natural not to be over a relationship ending that meant a lot to you in a couple of days, weeks, or even months. I can't tell you how long it takes. That's different from person to person. But I can assure you that if you're willing to process it healthily, you'll know when that time has come. In fact, I'd suggest not jumping into a new relationship quickly. You'll probably repeat old patterns if the main goal in finding someone new is finding them quickly. Building a lasting, secure, and fulfilling relationship requires the willingness to go slow and be patient. It takes an awareness of your pattern so you can intentionally choose to try out a new, more healthy pattern. And it takes time to build that awareness and practice the new pattern. To make sure you're not entering a new relationship out of codependency, learn to be okay within yourself by yourself. That doesn't mean you can't want companionship. That's the most human thing to want. But the quality of your inner life and future relationships will be much better if you're able to be okay within yourself by yourself. And relationships are something you pursue to feel close to someone else and not to be able to cope within yourself.